if you're paying attention to the news, you're probably wondering what the heck is going on in Florida real estate. There is a lot of information flowing around when it comes to whether prices are going up, down, whether or not there's going to be a crash, whether or not it's going to be more expensive. There's a lot of information going out there right now. So it is almost impossible to know exactly what's happening without looking at the actual data and drawing a conclusion for yourself. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the data from Hernando County when it goes 1 year back. So we're going to compare June of 2023 to June of 2024, and we're going to find out how things are trending, and you're going to be able to see for yourself and make your own decision on whether or not this market is due for some sort of correction or whether or not that there's going to be issues coming up. So my job is not to tell you what that is. It's just to present data to you so that you can make those decisions for yourself. When it comes to housing, people need to live in homes, but the question is always whether or not now is the right time to buy. Well, let's find out. So let's look at Hernando County data and see what the data is going to tell us, and let us make some conclusions based off of that makes sense and hopefully give you the information needed in order to make your next move. So let's start with something as simple as closed sales, okay? How many actual homes were sold in Hernando County between last year and this year? So in June of 2023, there were 399 closed sales. In June of 2024, there were 324. So that is an 18.8% decline in sales in a 1 year time frame. All right, so that's one data point right there. But now let's look at this other one, median sale price. In June of 2023, the median sale price was $330,000. In June of 2024, it was $344,900. That indicates a 4.5% increase in price. So technically, you can say 4.5% appreciation. So now let's look at some other ones that make a lot of sense. Time to contract. So median time to contract in June of 2023, it was 27 days. In June of 2024, we're at 37 days. That is a 37% increase in median time to contract. Now, let's look at another one. Median time to sale, including contract, under contract, pending status, went from 75 days to 83 days. So that's a 10% increase. Now, here's an interesting one. New pending sales. How many homes have gone under contract? So in June of 2023, we had 364. In June of 2024, we have 338. So we're down 7.1% on that particular metric. New listings. So this is interesting. In 444 new listings in June of 2024, and in 2023, in 2024, we had 412. So we're down on new listings 7.2% when you look at June of last year to June of this year. But here's where it starts to get a little bit interesting. Active inventory. June of 2023, we had 743 active homes. Today, we have 1,205 active homes in this county. That indicates a 62.2% increase in active inventory. The other interesting metric that's coming up is month supply of inventory. In June of 2023, we had a 2.3 month supply of inventory. Right now, we have a 3.8 month supply of inventory. So that indicates another 65.2% increase in time. So we have 65% more supply available, months of supply available to us today. So when we're looking at this data, we have to ask ourselves, what direction is this market headed? So what do we see that we know to be true? There are more active listings today than there were a year ago. Well, why could that be? Well, right now we've been well into the rate hike cycle, and a lot of people who have been holding off to see if interest rates would be cut or whatever was going to happen has found that the market has stayed pretty stable in terms of monetary policy. So people who had to sell but maybe put it off thinking that they couldn't purchase their next home, or maybe they had a really good interest rate and they didn't want to give that up, are certainly finding that life happens and you may need to put your home on the market. Life doesn't stop happening when the financial conditions are the way they are. People may have deferred the amount to wait and see what was going to happen, and then from there made a decision that now these homes are coming into the market. But what does that mean if you're a seller? What that means if you're a seller is that the pricing strategies of 6 months ago, when your neighbor sold their house and what they got for it, is unlikely to be true today. So as a seller, you really need to have realistic expectations about what your home is worth in today's market. And we say this in investing all the time. It is almost impossible to time the top as well as time the bottom. But you have to understand what the trends are saying. And right now we have a higher amount of supply, and prices should start to normalize and stabilize, meaning that the peak prices has probably passed on the sale of your home. Now, does that mean we're crashing? No, that does not mean that at all. But what it does mean is that the high prices or the bidding wars or that time period where prices skyrocketed, we're probably not going to see that anytime soon. And we're probably going to be a bit stable and maybe even having some price corrections as the market kind of begins to normalize and find its footing. So if you're a buyer, what does that mean? As a buyer, that means you have to look at what kind of home are you looking for and how many months of supply does that price point have. So we have data that shows that different price point homes have different months of supply. We'll cover that in another video. But the reality is that you need to know these details in order to make an educated offer on what a home is truly worth. You have to know these things because the idea that you're going to bid against yourself, thinking there's going to be multiple offer situations, those homes are few and far between. More homes are sitting on the market. More homes are having one particular buyer, one particular offer that's coming in, and those are being negotiated at those terms as opposed to bidding wars, sight unseen offers. So that era, I think, has passed. So when we look at this data, we're saying, okay, we know we have more supply. We know we're going to be on market a little bit longer. And we know that there are less homes selling, which because there's less traffic. Why is that? Well, we know that interest rates remain high. We know that a good amount of people are locked into low interest rate loans that are making it very difficult for them to sell their current house to then get a higher rate. What I do think is potentially possible is that if rates were to come down significantly, that you're going to see a flood of new buyers and then all of a sudden appreciation start to accelerate. So you really have to factor all of these things in when making a decision. So you have to look at, if I were to sell my home, do I need to sell it today? Am I happy where I'm at? Is this serving my needs? If none of those answers are true, then you have to explore what the potential opportunities are and the pros and cons. These are consultations. Anytime you meet with somebody like me, like a realtor, we're not forcing or making someone sell anything. We're walking them through the decision of, if I were to do this, what's realistic? If I were to want to get a different home, whether it be downsizing or maybe getting something bigger because my family has grown or circumstances have changed, whatever that is, does that make financial sense? Running it through the lender, running it through scenarios. These are the kind of conversations you need to be having. But in order to have those conversations, you actually have to look at the data. And the data has to dictate and tell you honestly, where are we headed? Now, even in other situations where if more price, you don't know what the future holds. But guess what? In every market, there will be buyers and sellers. We may not have as many of them as we did a few years ago. That's the only thing that's different today. You have to analyze your situation and make sure that you're doing what's best for your family right now. And that's if you're a renter, if you're a homeowner, if you want to downsize, if you want to leave states, there's a lot of different factors. So if a consultation is what makes sense, I'm going to put my number on the screen. Reach out to me, shoot me an email, do whatever you need to do. Let's have a conversation about what we should be doing. We'll advise you as best as we can, and we'll come up with a plan. But this is your Hernando County update for June of this year. We hope this information is helpful. And if that's great, give a like and subscribe. And if not, we'll see you in the next video. Hope you're having a great day.